Today in Cambodia's capital, soldiers arrived to a hero's welcome after they were released from 5 months of captivity by neighboring Thailand. There's a tenuous ceasefire between those two countries. It is one of 8 conflicts that President Trump has claimed to have solved since he began his second term. Those range from tensions tackled in his first term to ongoing diplomatic disputes to wars where he has personally helped negotiate ceasefires. One of those is between Azerbaijan and Armenia, bitter rivals since the collapse of the Soviet Union. Their leaders met the president in the Oval Office this summer. Special correspondent Simon Ostrovsky and producer Katya Patin traveled to the Armenian border with Iran to assess whether that agreement could lead to peace facilitated by a corridor named after President Trump himself.
A picturesque river valley cuts through the Caucasus Mountains. On one side, the Islamic Republic of Iran. On the other, Armenia, a country that was recently defeated in a war with Azerbaijan. An uneasy peace has held since an agreement was signed in Washington in August, backed by Trump. But the deal's survival depends on Azerbaijan gaining access to this strip of Armenian territory along Iran's border. That's because these Armenian lands separate Azerbaijan from its exclave of Nakhchivan, currently reachable only by air or overland through Iran. Enter the Trump route for international peace and prosperity, known as TRIP, a proposal to turn this high-security border zone into a transit corridor for rail and road traffic linking Azerbaijan to Nakhchivan. This railway line has been abandoned since the outbreak of war between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and the agreement reached between the two countries with the help of the Trump administration could dramatically alter the geopolitical map of this strategic region. But there are still a lot of hurdles to get over before the White House's vision of peace becomes a reality on the ground here in Armenia on the border with Iran. As with many Trump foreign policy initiatives, this deal isn't just about transport or cessation of hostilities. It envisions a raft of commercial opportunities, including a U.S.-Armenian joint venture that will operate the Trump route on a for-profit basis, an AI data center powered by NVIDIA chips and Dell servers, cooperation on nuclear energy, and in Azerbaijan, ExxonMobil plans to explore for gas. But there are complexities to overcome. The region's terrain presents significant engineering challenges, and the proposed corridor would operate right under the nose of Iran, which the Trump administration bombed recently. On top of that, Armenia outsources its border security to Russia under a mutual defense treaty, something we found out the hard way when a Russian patrol stopped to check our paperwork.
What's your agency called again?
PBS.
It's American, correct? At this time, I am issuing a warning.
Your warning has been received. We just got stopped by a Russian FSB border patrol. They actually man this border on behalf of Armenia. And they let us off with a warning, said that we shouldn't be filming so close to the border, but they were really interested in what we were doing here. The Trump route for international peace and prosperity is supposed to be manned by American contractors to manage this route. Are they going to have to contend with the Russian border guards here as well? And how's that going to work? I think that hasn't been figured out yet, and it's just one of the challenges that this peace plan still faces. This American proposal is just the latest in a series of developments that have marginalized Russian influence in the South Caucasus. Russian peacekeepers were swept aside when Azerbaijan took control of the disputed Nagorno-Karabakh enclave in 2023. Stretched thin by its war in Ukraine, Moscow didn't intervene, a decision that led to the exodus of Karabakh's Armenian population. Russia's role inside Armenia appears now to be at risk too, as polls show public sentiment towards Moscow plummeting. This Armenian resident of the border area told me he felt betrayed and wanted Russian troops out under any future settlement.
They're traitors, not allies.
TRIP is about much more than a regional transport link. It's the critical missing segment in a proposed European corridor known as the Middle Passage, which would open Western trade routes to Central Asia, a region rich in rare earth minerals and other resources. A direct connection through NATO ally Turkey would allow the 5 landlocked Central Asian states to avoid routes through Russia, China, or Iran. Officials from both Armenia and Azerbaijan seem eager to play up the commercial potential for America. Here's Hikmet Hajiev, assistant to the president of Azerbaijan.
But United States companies and United States private sector will also get a tremendous opportunity and using this route, entering Central Asian market and including the rare earth material and some other business activities. As a win-win situation for everybody, including the United States companies.
Armenia's Deputy Foreign Minister Vahan Kostinyan argues that a U.S. pledge of $145 million in financial support, which includes funding for TRIP and for enhancing Armenia's border capacities, is part of what will help make any peace more durable.
There is an agreement between Armenian and US government that we will be establishing a joint company together, which will have a right to develop the infrastructure. It has a huge potential for regional but also global logistic chains.
What's clear is that a lot of the details still have to be worked out. But peace, if it sticks, would benefit Azerbaijan and Armenia and the wider region. There is one big loser, of course, and that's Russia. As America's footprint increases in the South Caucasus, Russia's will decrease. And it seems like Moscow is already on the back foot.
According to the agreement that Armenia and Russia signed back in the 90s, simultaneously when Armenian border guards will increase their capacities, a number of Russian border keepers should be decreased. And we already have these examples.
I'm just still a little bit confused about what's going to happen to the Russians. They're staying or not staying?
We are on or off.
Relations with Russia are obviously a sensitive topic. Yerevan doesn't want to anger its longtime ally prematurely. But since the signing of the agreement in Washington, the Trump administration has achieved something Russia never could, an end to the skirmishes that plagued the Armenian-Azerbaijani border until last summer.
I will divide the regional history in 2 parts until to the 8th of August and after the 8th of August. A lot of things have tremendously changed in the region of the South Caucasus. Since the independence of Armenia and Azerbaijan, these 2 countries were literally in war, but now we have real peace on the ground.
Time will tell if TRIP ever gets built or if a final peace settlement ending the war is ever signed. But for now, it appears the U.S. is seizing an opportunity to reshape a region long dominated by Moscow. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Simon Ostrovsky in Megri, Armenia.
Wait just a second, we have one more thing to share.
We want to say a heartfelt thank you for watching and supporting PBS News.
Without you, we simply wouldn't be able to provide the news and the information that you trust.
So thank you from everybody here at PBS News.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now, or even better, start a monthly contribution today.